Today you will learn about types of forest, status of Andhra Pradesh in forest area, and tribal life. Okay, different kinds of trees are grown in the places where have a particular climate and rainfall, temperature, and cycle of dry, wet and hot months. Depending on the different kinds of trees are grown depending on the climate conditions, like trees like coniferous trees like pine will only grow in the very cold climate conditions, mostly some snowfall. Like trees grow in regions of moderate rainfall and warm temperatures. Understand? And mostly the density of the forest will also depending upon the nature of rainfall and temperature. Understand? Let us learn about some main kinds of the forest. What are that? Evergreen forest, deciduous forest, thorny forest, and littoral forest. Littoral means here sea coast. Littoral and swampy forest there. Understand? 4 kinds of forest mainly. That evergreen forest. Evergreen forest, where it is and what kind of climate required. Evergreen forest mainly located in the where the high rainfall and temperature, warm temperature, mostly it appears in equatorial regions. Understand? Equatorial forest is also called as equatorial forest. In India, is it available such kind of forest, evergreen forest? Yes, available only. Do you know equator passes through south of India, not touched to Indian border, south side. That's why this forest also found in our country. In which places? Yes, Kerala and Andaman Nicobar Islands, evergreen forests are found. Understand? And also Himalayan regions. Himalayan region also this kind of forest found in that. Okay, so these are the dense forest with a very large variety of trees, plants and creepers and so on there. And different kind of dangerous and different kind of animals are found in this region. Understand? And this forest always green, and the trees shed their old leaves but get new leaves very soon. Understand? While one kind of tree shed its leaves, shed means they can leave it, means they can lose their leaves. At the same time another trees remains green. This is because they get moisture and warmth to grow constantly. Okay, and some names of trees in this forest? Jamun, canes, bamboos, kadam, so on. These are some characteristics trees of the regions. These are regions. We do not have such forest in Andhra Pradesh. Understand? What are that? In that evergreen forest is also called as equatorial forest and also called as tropical rainy forest. What is that? Tropical rainy forest. Mostly how much temperature and rainfall required? Mostly rainfall, average rainfall is 250 centimeters. Understand? Equator means temperature is more, at the same time rainfall also more. Okay, right. Another one, you can see this pictures, Himalayas, and here it is Western Ghats, the Kerala forests, different kinds of evergreen forest in the Himalayas region also. Mostly they are pine forest there, pine, which remains green throughout the year. Understand? What kind of leaves are there in that pine forest? The trees have leaves which are very thin and in the shape of needles. These trees do not bear flowers but produce cones and hence are called coniferous forest or coniferous trees. Okay. Coniferous means it produces cones. Look at these pictures. These trees grown in areas with the snowfall. Hence these trees have the needles-like leaves which do not allow the snow to rest on them. Rest means personally on the avoid destroying trees unnecessarily. Be careful with matches and cigarette butts. Recycle material obtained from the itself is forest shaped in such a way that the snow slips, that means the snow falls, slips down the sides and falls on the ground. The trees itself is shaped in such a way that the snow slips down and sides and falls on the grounds, just like sloping tiled roofs of the houses. Understand? And next one, it is deciduous forest. What is deciduous forest? That mostly rains in only some months, warm and dry during most of the year. Understand? So that's why these forests are also called as monsoon forest. Understand? This kind of forest found in our Andhra Pradesh region. Mostly these forests grown in regions where it rains in only some months and is warm and dry during the most of the year. What kind of trees? What kind of characteristics are there? The trees shed their leaves during very dry months. Water evaporates through the leaves, and the trees try to conserve moisture by getting rid of the leaves during the dry months. Water evaporates through the leaves, and the trees try to conserve moisture by getting rid of the leaves during the dry months. At the same time, new leaves come with it. Okay. Here you can see this kind of two kinds of deciduous forest there. One is receives more rainfall, another one is receives less rainfall, deciduous forest, and receives more rainfall, deciduous forest. Understand? See that deciduous forest which receives more rain, what kind of trees are grown in that? Vegi, Agisa, Maddi, Bandaru, Gattigai. Okay, these are the trees. More rainfall forest, deciduous forest found in the districts of Andhra Pradesh, Srikakulam, Visakhapatnam districts, and East Godavari agency areas. In some areas, less rainfall receives that. What kind of trees are grown? Maddi, teak, Velaga, Agis, AP, Chiguru, Billu, Neem, Dirisena, Valugu, and Maduka. These are local names there. Understand? Such forests are more widespread in our state. Do you know, in our Andhra Pradesh region, some districts are getting less rainfall. Where it is? Yes, YSR Kadapa district. Okay. So this kind of trees are grown in YSR Kadapa and Kurnool district. Another one, thorny forest. Where is this thorny forest? Most in Andhra Pradesh, YSR Kadapa, Chittoor, Anantapur and Nalgonda districts. Thorny means what it is? These trees grown in very dry areas with little rainfall and high temperatures. Most of the trees are thorny. You can see here the common trees are Babul, it's called as Tumma, Balasuregu, and Sandal, Neem, and so on there. Different kinds of littoral and swamp forest there. Here beach forests, tidal forest, also known as mangrove forest, freshwater swamp forest also there. Here mostly tidal forest means mangrove forest. How it develops? Mostly this kind of trees are found in that sea coast and marshy lands. These are affected by tidal waves only. The trees adapted to salt waters and the flow of tidal waves recedes, thus altering salt water flooding and drying. Understand how it is? Always in the tidal waves typically submerged these areas for some hours of the day and recede, thus alternating saltwater flooding and drying only. Understand? Where is found this kind of trees have developed some unique features to survive in the difficult environment. What are that trees? Uppupanna, Buddupanna, Urada, Mada, Tella, Tellamada, Gondumada, and Kadili and Bella are some type of typical vegetation of these regions. Where it is found this kind of forest, lateral or swampy forest in our Andhra Pradesh region? Kadapa, Prakasham, Vishaka and Kurnool. No. In Andhra Pradesh region, entirely in which areas in Andhra Pradesh have more forest area? Mostly found in Kadapa. First place Kadapa district. Next Prakasam. Okay, and Visakhapatnam and Kurnool regions. Look at this picture. Kuringa Bird Sanctuary located in East Godavari, Kuringa. Understand? This is one kind of mangrove forest developed by tidal waves. Okay. Now we'll discuss about status of forest in Andhra Pradesh. Okay. How much percentage of forest there in Andhra Pradesh region? And what is the area of Andhra Pradesh? Nearly about 64,000 square kilometers of the state are declared as forest by the Andhra Pradesh government. This is about 23% of all land in the state. If you observe this is not really forested, as only about 16% of our land has tree cover to qualify as a forest. This means that is about 7% of our forest lands are open grounds and with very few trees. Understand? Then if you observe that what is actual forest in it? Understand? 23% of land cover only. In that 16% of land has tree cover to qualify as real forest. Remaining 7% is only forest lands, open grounds with very few trees only. What happened is that forest cover is dwindling due to felling and encroachment and mining and so on. Dwindling means what? Decreasing. Forest cover is decreasing. Okay. Every year about 100 square kilometers of forest are lost in our state. This is very important. Now we will discuss about tribal people and forests. It is difficult to imagine the forest in our country without the people, means tribals, who live in them and use them. Forests provide the resources for very poor in our state to make living. What are the percentages who are depending on that? How much percentage of people are depending on that? We see that north coast of Andhra Pradesh, 20% people depending on the forest. 50% of coastal region people collect forest products. How many forest products? More than 60 items they are collecting from the forest only. Very important. And 78% in Telangana people, they collect NTFP. What is this? NTFP. That means non-timber forest produce. Understand? And in that also 60% of tribals, they live in forest. They are doing shifting agriculture or cultivation. Understand? When the Britishers came to India during the colonial rule, tribal people lost their control and rights over the forest. Up to that, they are living in the forest and they are collecting forest produce and they are selling their markets, and they collect some money and purchase some products like salt, sugar, like that. Okay. And also they are doing Podu cultivation. We already discussed previous class. You know that, just remember that Kondareddis of Konavaram village, Konavaram hills, they are practicing that Podu cultivation only. What are that? They are collecting fruits, tubers, some of the items like pidi leaves, medicine plants, bamboos, tamarind. Understand, some medicated plants also there. Unlike in private villages, unlike in the plain villages, tribal people do not have the notion of private property in land, means they don't have land areas. Understand? Families has customary right over the land they cultivated and will shift to in coming years. Already I told you, they are following that shifting cultivation. At the time, there is no fixed land or fixed record of ownership of land. When the population increases, new families are formed. The village elders give them permissions to clear new plots of land. In the days before British rule, the tribal people treated the forest as their own, but it was sacred land to them, which they used without causing damage to it or the animals in it. Even when they hunted animals or cleared forest for Podu fields or Podu cultivation, they took care to ensure the regeneration of animals and trees. Regeneration of animals trees means here they are using the forest sustainable manner. Understand it is. Thus, they both cared for and used the forest just as a peasant's family take care about its fields. Understand? During the last 200 years after the establishment of British rule in our country, the tribal people gradually lost their control and rights over the forest. Means they are facing difficulties. During the British rule, forests were rapidly cut down. This happened in two ways. Firstly, there was a great demand for wood for various purposes like building railways, ships, factories, mines, houses and furniture and so on. And mostly many industries like paper industry, already we learnt in 7th class, they needed more and more quantities of pulpwood. As a result of this, large tract of forest were cut down and the wood sold out. Understand? In many areas, forests were cut down to create plantations of tea, coffee or rubber, and later on quick growing trees like eucalyptus and bamboos. Understand? So the total area under forest got reduced manner only. Gradually it is reduced. Secondly, what happened in that? The British government wanted to control the felling of forest in such a way that it could benefit most from it and also help protecting the remaining forest. They made laws. Understand? In the year 1864 and 1878, at the time, British made laws in 1864 and 1878, established the first forest department. Understand? To protecting the forest. Understand? And they implemented some laws. These laws are passed by the Nizam government in the areas under its control. In that you have to learn about reserved forest and unreserved forest there. Understand this? The British Forest Department dividing the forest into two kinds, reserved forest and protected forest there. What is reserved forest? Reserved forest were the forest in which no one could enter. Understood now? Reserved forest means it is reserved for only for some animals. Another one, protected forest. Second one is protected forest. The forest could be used by people. Understand? They can take bamboos and headloads of wood and small forest produce for their own use. Could graze their cattle also, but not to disturb, not to destroy the areas. So, but some restrictions over cutting trees and grazing more than limit set by the forest department. Understood? మరిన్ని వీడియోస్ కోసం మా ఛానల్ని సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేయండి, షేర్ చేయండి అండ్ ఫైనల్లీ క్లిక్ ఆన్ ది బెల్ ఐకాన్. థ్యాంక్ యూ.